And we are live. Welcome back to the Entrepreneur Hour. Today again, I am being produced by Madison behind the scenes, and we have the MetaBronx media team working on our program. So today's show, again, their idea was to have me explain Bitcoin to them. I was showing them, I was making a video about Bitcoin, and last week I was making it and it was $9,000. And then I'm saying in the video that it's worth $9,000. And then the next day it's worth $11,000. So I was explaining to them that now I got to reshoot that video, and they were asking me questions. So they said, why don't we do a show based on Bitcoin? So let's do that. So before we get there though, I am Miguel Sanchez. I work with entrepreneurs and investors. I help them benefit from innovation. And if you're the type of person who's interested in learning about new tech and new business ideas, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel or wherever you are watching. So today we're going to do Bitcoin 101. What that means for young people. I feel like a lot of adults have the questions about Bitcoin, but they don't want to ask it. So my young people here today are going to ask it. My high school, I guess you guys are from sophomore to seniors, right? You're going to start asking questions about Bitcoin. But let me give you the explanation first. Bitcoin is the first ever money created through technology, right? And I don't mean technology because actual money was created through technology, right? It took trees and it cut up trees and it made paper money, right? So that is a form of technology. But Bitcoin, what Bitcoin is it uses lines of code to create the currency. How it does that is through a technology called the blockchain. The blockchain technology is, the easiest way I can explain it is, let's say you have two best friends. I'm going to explain it now, Alexis. And Madison's going to pull your question up on the screen later. Give me a few seconds to explain it, and then we'll get into the questions. So let's say you have two best friends, and you all trust each other. So you lend each other money, right? So let's say I lend Alexis $5. Madison, me, and Alexis know that I just lend Alexis $5. Let's say 2 years down the line, I'm like, Alexis, you owe me $5. And Alexis is like, no, you don't. No, I don't. There's no record of it, right? But what blockchain does is, blockchain is essentially if we all three wrote down on a piece of paper, Miguel lent Alexis $5. And we all keep our own piece of paper in our home, right? So now, 5 years from now, I'm like, hey, Alexis, you owe me $5. That's not true. Let's all go to our piece of paper. Yes, that's right. What Bitcoin does is it does that. It makes what's called, what blockchain does is it does that. It makes what's called a digital ledger. But it doesn't only keep it on the three people's homes. It keeps it on all the computers, the phones that mine Bitcoin. That's a little bit more complicated, but whatever. Let's just say right now, on millions of computers around the world and phones, there's a record of all the Bitcoin that exists and has been used. Why is that important? Banks, that's what banks do. That's why banks charge us fees on top of holding our money and lending our money and making money off of that. Banks charge us to hold that same ledger. So let's say right now I pay a bill. I pay my cell phone bill. The bank keeps a record that says, Miguel, paid Verizon, right? They charge me to be able to do that, right? I pay monthly fees to the bank to hold the record of whatever I did with my money. And everybody does that. What Bitcoin does is it does it for free through code. So let's say I had a friend in Germany and I wanted to pay them. Right now, to pay them, I would have to go to my bank and say, hey, I want to pay this person in Germany. Okay, can you get their bank account information? Can you get their address? Can you get their name? Get me all this information, and then you can send them the payment. And it's going to cost you $40. PayPal and other technology ideas have come along to try to change that. So now you can pay PayPal, and then they can get paid in their own country, however that. But PayPal charges you a fee, and that person in that country has to deal with PayPal. Sometimes it's not a great experience, and they don't get the money the way they want to get it. And they also have fees on top on both sides. With Bitcoin, I can pay that person instantly for free through Bitcoin. That is a major, major difference, right? Think about all of those steps that had to happen. That person had to have a bank account in Germany. I had to have a bank account in America. I had to do all these different things to get the bank account. I had to go bank to bank. Both these banks are going to charge both of us to keep those ledgers. Now through code, I can just send this person the money through Bitcoin instantly. They have the money. Nobody's involved. The trust is there because now there's a record. Miguel sent person in Germany $50. Everybody's happy. The money gets to the person. There's a record of it. Good. Bitcoin is the form of money. It's the dollar that I gave that person. That person can trade that coin and buy stuff using Bitcoin. Or they could change that Bitcoin into the money of their country. That is why Bitcoin is so important. Any questions? Did I explain that enough for you guys to understand it? What's the questions? And actually, let me put, if anybody wants to get on camera with me and ask me questions, here's the link to do that. Any questions? Let's go. Madison, control the questions. If you have a question, Madison, type it in. While I wait, because there's no questions so far. Blockchain, though, allows for not only money. Blockchain also allows for trust. So what I just told you is how you can trust someone that I paid you, right? I paid you, you received the money. Usually we rely on banks for that trust. Blockchain allows financially through Bitcoin for us to not need the bank's trust. But the technology is also used to trust for contracts. Let's say I say, you know what, I'm going to sell you my home. If you give me $100,000, I give you this. I give you this property. But it only happens if I receive the money. You can create what's called a smart contract through blockchain. So there's no bank. You don't need a bank because the banks charge fees. They charge. So imagine if it's 3% on $100,000, that's $3,000, right? So this becomes something over time where Bitcoin is going to be much more efficient and cost effective to use than actual money and banks. All right. So questions, Madison or Nasheem, tell me, pull up the question that you think I should answer. How do you invest in Bitcoin? Great question, Kevin. On the description below is the two easiest ways I know of right now to invest in Bitcoin. One is an app called Coinbase. Coinbase, you can invest in not only Bitcoin, you can invest in other cryptocurrencies. And by clicking that link down below, they give me a little bonus if you buy some Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency. And then there's Cash App. Cash App is an app that people use to pay each other in America. So instead of paying cash, I can Cash App you $10, $100, $500, and it goes from your bank account to my bank account without dealing with a bank, right? So Cash App is becoming very, very popular in America. Why? We're going to like a cashless economy, right? So it's better to pay someone through Cash App than trying to use a dirty dollar that has been everywhere and possibly getting coronavirus. So the way you invest, you have, and in Cash App, you can invest in stock and Bitcoin. So all you have to do is sign up for these apps, and they connect to your bank account, and you can buy Bitcoin. Before, it used to be much harder, much harder. You had to create a wallet. You had to have this special long encryption key. And what happened was a lot of people lost their encryption keys. So there's people that have lost millions of dollars because they lost their encryption key. Because, like, remember I told you back then when I saw it when it was 30 cents, that was when you needed to make a wallet and an encryption key. So if I would have put that $100, I would have had to keep that encryption key safe, because right now it'd be worth $3.5 million. So right now they made it easier through apps like Coinbase and Cash App, and you can use the apps below, the links below to do that. All right, next question. Nasheem or Madison? Is Bitcoin better than Cash App? If so, why? All right, so the difference between Bitcoin and Cash App is just cash. It's American cash. So it's the banks, again, dealing with each other behind the scenes, and you're not involved. So you don't think banks are involved. I mean, you're not understanding that the banks are doing it because it's so seamless, but still you need a bank account. You need 2 bank accounts to pass the money back and forth. With Bitcoin, you don't necessarily need a bank account. You just need a place to transfer that Bitcoin into whatever form of payment you want. So there's some places that take Bitcoin. There's websites now that take Bitcoin. There's stores you can go to when you travel. You'll see vending machines where you can turn Bitcoin into actual money in that world, in that country. So the difference of Bitcoin and Cash App is really an app that deals in cash, actual cash, where Bitcoin is this other form of money. It's another form of cash. So it's different. It's very different. Cash App is much easier to use in America. I don't even know how you can use it in other countries. I'm not sure if you can use Cash App in another country. Bitcoin you can use anywhere in the world, and you could give to anybody anywhere in the world. So that's the answer to that. Anybody else? Any other questions? From Nilexis, can sometimes be kind of risky? Yes, Bitcoin can be risky. Can you take risk by doing that or using that app? Are you saying Cash App? Cash App can be risky, or do you mean Bitcoin? Now, Alexis, do you mean, all right, so let's say you mean Cash App. If you mean Cash App can be risky, I guess I don't know how it could be risky if you know the person you're paying. The only problem is, so for instance, the other day, I needed to send my brother money. When I went to put his name in, there were multiple names for him. So I wasn't sure what name to send the money to. So I had to ask him. I had to be like, there's multiple names here. Which one should I send to? So then he sent me the actual link, like a request for the money, and then I paid that. So the risk would have been, let's say I sent the money to somebody else. They would have got the money, and then I would have had to ask for it back. They wouldn't have to give it me back. I would have to reach out to Cash App, like, hey, can you give me my money back? So that's a risk, making sure you know who you're paying and you're paying the right person. Bitcoin, the risk with Bitcoin is it fluctuates in value. Remember I told you last week, Bitcoin was worth a little over 9,000. Right now, I'm going to go into Coinbase and see how much Bitcoin is worth today. Bitcoin right now is worth $10,980. In a few days, it went up almost $2,000, right? Why is that? Because Bitcoin is not as stable yet, because many people can put money into it and take money out. The value of it changes a lot from day to day. So the more people put money into it, the more value it goes up. The more people take out, the more it goes down, right? So when people, so like for instance, last few days, it went from 9,000 to 11. If you had $100,000 in there, you made 20% of your money. You said, all right, I'm good. I'm going to cash out and make $20,000. But when you take the money out, now Bitcoin goes down in value, right? So the idea of Bitcoin is it will get more stable over time. But right now, because there's so much fluctuation on people taking it in and out, that it is. So right now, for instance, if I paid you right now, and let's say I owed you $11,000, and I gave you one Bitcoin for that $11,000. Then tomorrow, before you even take it out and use it, it goes back down to 9,000. But I paid you 11,000. When I paid you, it was 11,000. Now it's 9,000. That's your problem. So that is a risk, right? Where right now, that's probably the biggest anti-Bitcoin argument. It's not stable enough to be used as currency yet, because you know the dollar, when I give you $1, it's worth $1 when you go to the store tomorrow, 5 days from now, 8 days from now, a month from now. But if I give you Bitcoin and you go 3 days from now, a month from now, who knows what it's going to be worth? It could be worth a lot more, right? It could be worth a lot less. So that's part of the risk of it right now. All right. So next question. Let's go. Good. There are many other forms of cryptocurrency, but which one is best? Right now, Bitcoin is the top dog because literally the blockchain was created to make Bitcoin. So when it was created, it was so far ahead of its time that it's really hard to game it. When a new form of cryptocurrency comes out, if you are rich, if you're a bank, you could buy a lot of it and then control it. Bitcoin, we're past that point now. No one entity or multiple entities could really control it. So it's going to be hard for anyone to game it. The other best cryptocurrency I would tell anyone to buy is Ethereum, because what Ethereum does is Ethereum is what's used for what I was talking about with the smart contracts. So any application that's being built right now to make smart contracts, most of the time it's built on Ethereum. So Ethereum is going up big time too, but not as big as Cash App. But I mean, Bitcoin. But if you want to invest right now, I would invest in Cash App, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. How do you invest in Cash App? Literally in the Cash App, you can invest in the company called Square. Square owns Bitcoin. You can invest as little as $10 in Square right now and own a percentage of Cash App. Cash App is growing 30% a month in users. It's getting valuable. It's getting more and more valuable all the time. So it is a good investment, I believe, because right now nobody wants to use money. People are going to much rather use Cash App. So it's a good investment. All right, next question. And can somebody come on camera here? I'm lonely on this stream. Can somebody come and ask me a question? All right. How do you know when Bitcoin is going to have a major increase in value? Right now, it's a little bit of insider information. I'll be honest. It's like I knew because I knew a lot of people that are in the know. They told me. So last week, I decided to make that video because I knew it was going to go up. So because I had at least 5 different people who are in the know saying, buy Bitcoin right now because it's going to blow up. So I said, all right, I'm going to buy Bitcoin, but I'm also going to let people know through YouTube that they should buy Bitcoin. So I start recording the video. I get sidetracked and I don't edit it and I don't finish the edit. So I was like, all right, I'll do it in a few days. A few days, it went up $2,000, right? If somebody would have bought from that time, they would have made, I think, 20% increase on their money. Next question. George, what's up, man? How can so many people have faith in a system whose origins are unknown? What if the architect decides to Ponzi us? Good question. The beauty of blockchain and Bitcoin is it is emotionless and personless. They created this system that nobody can control anymore. It's not about, hey, I have a back door to steal and change all those files, because at the end of the day, right now, there's millions and millions and millions of people with the ledger of the blockchain for Bitcoin on their device. So if I wanted to change that, it's almost impossible. Like I think right now, at this time today, 2020, it's impossible to hack Bitcoin. Ponzi, you can be seeing as, if you don't know what a Ponzi scheme is the young people watching. Ponzi scheme means I say, here, give me let's say I say, give me $1,000 and I'm going to make you $500 off that 1,000, right? So let's say I do that to 10 people. So now I have $10,000. But let's say I told people I can make you $500, right? So the first people that ask me for the money back, I give them 500 from the money from the other people. But I don't really have a way to make you the 500. I'm just using other people's money to pay people back. So that's what a Ponzi scheme is. And if you do that, you go to jail. And the biggest in history is like Bernie Madoff, if you heard that name. He was running a Ponzi scheme where he was taking people's millions and millions of dollars, and he did it to like the Mets owners, and it screwed them over. So what George is bringing up is some people think Bitcoin can be a huge, elaborate Ponzi scheme. The difference between Bitcoin and actual cash is right now, actual American cash is more of a Ponzi scheme than Bitcoin. Why is that? When I tell you the dollar's worth this much, it used to be based off gold, right? So it was like, all right, I have this piece of gold, so now I'll give you this much dollars based on this much gold. America took that away, and now it was called the gold standard. They took gold away from how much money is valued. So that was one of the biggest points in history, and most people don't even know it happened, right? So now money is just based off of what the World Bank and America tell you the dollar's worth. So right now, you see all this stimulus stuff happening, right? Everybody's on unemployment. They're giving everybody $600 extra a week. How are they doing this? They're helping the stock market. They're printing more dollars. They're printing more money. But what happens when they do that is they devalue the dollar. So right now, we have a bunch of money out there that's worth a lot less, but we don't know it because America's not really saying that. But if you watch other people, other financial advisors and financial people's YouTubes and content, they're all saying this is a huge, huge problem. This is why Bitcoin's growing, because and people are buying gold because nobody's starting to believe in the dollar, because right now America's just printing millions and millions, billions a day. How could it keep value like that? So if anything, I would argue the dollar might be more of a Ponzi scheme than Bitcoin right now. So, all right. You got a good follow-up question. Bring up the follow-up question, because I don't really know if I answered the question too, George. Let me know if I answered your question. But anything ungovernable also lacks oversight and accountability. That's the difference with Bitcoin. Doesn't need that. The accountability and oversight is the blockchain ledger. So there's no one who can go and change 1 million records on 1 million computers and 1 million phones to say, no, Miguel didn't pay George $10. Let's wipe that from everyone's record. So Bitcoin has built into it a system of trust through the blockchain that right now is the best thing that anyone has ever created to minimize trust issues. Because if I told you, like I told you in the beginning, let's say our 3 best friend group, imagine I come back and say, look, I lent Madison $1,000 last week. We go back and we look and it's only on my ledger and on 9LX's and Madison's is not. I'm the one lying, right? So why would I do that when I know they're not going to have it on their ledger? So I'm going to be caught immediately in the lie, right? Versus the dollar right now, like I just said, you don't even know what's happening with the dollar. You don't even know every day how much money they print, and they're devaluing the dollar, and it's not connected to gold anymore. So you can't say it's worth anything other than what America says it's worth. That's crazy. Versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be worth whatever the value is. And the beauty of Bitcoin is one day they will stop making Bitcoin. They will never stop printing dollars. You can dig for gold and probably find gold in many places in the world. So even that is not a finite amount of currency. Bitcoin, there will be a finite form of currency. And there was just an article that said from Citibank that Citibank believes Bitcoin will be worth $120,000 within the next 2 years. Right now, it's worth 12, right? That's 10 times more money. There's not really many investments like that where you could take a risk. So to me, I bring up this story and I'm going to keep bringing it up. When I first saw Bitcoin, it was worth 30 cents. If I would have said, you know what, forget it. I'm just put $100 in here. I kind of understand it. This was in like 2008 around. So I had no idea what I was looking at. I just knew everybody was saying this is the new form of money. You need to understand it. And I was like, whatever, stupid move. But this is why I'm talking to you now about it. We still are in the early stages of it. So there's still an opportunity to make big time money. And I'm not saying put your life savings in it, but put a couple bucks just in case. If I were to put $100, I would have $3.5 million right now. For a $100 gamble, that's worth it, you know? All right, so next question. Why should people want to invest in Bitcoin? For what I'm saying right now, I believe eventually, if you look, there's another video I highly suggest you guys watch. It's called the Pomp podcast, Letter to Ray Dalio. I will put it in the description, or somebody on the media team, can you YouTube search that and put the link to it in the description? He breaks it down immaculately, like why the top financial people that understand technology are saying Bitcoin is the most perfect money system ever created. And eventually it will become more and more apparent that it is that. So right now, it's like being able to buy dollars for 10 cents. Imagine if I told you right now, here, we're going to jump back in history and bring some gold, because you're going to be able to get 10 cents for every dollar. So then you bring that back here, and now you're filthy rich. We're kind of in that point with Bitcoin. If you put $100 and it goes up to 120,000 in 2 years, imagine if you put more. But that's just in 2 years. They're saying that's just 2 years. Eventually, it's going to go higher, 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 because again, it's going to be finite. There's going to be only a certain amount of Bitcoin printed, and it's all done in a mathematical formula that cannot be changed by anyone. It's already set that on a certain day, they're going to stop making Bitcoin. And every day it becomes harder to make Bitcoin. So there's going to be a point in history where there's no more Bitcoin that can be created. And whoever owns it, and they can choose to use it however they want to use it. That's another reason to why not just have some of the potential future form of money. Because if it's true, I'm not telling you put your whole life savings. There's actually rich people, really filthy rich billionaires, that are converting a large percentage of their money into Bitcoin because they believe in this so much. There's a guy called Guy Kawasaki. If you ever read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, he's a huge Bitcoin enthusiast. There was another guy, I forgot his name, but he took 3% of his net worth, which is in the billions, and put it in Bitcoin because he believes it is the future version of money. The people remember Facebook, the twins that sued Zuckerberg because they said that he stole the idea from them. They really believe in Bitcoin, and they've already made millions and millions and millions of dollars on Bitcoin. Twitter, the Jack Dorsey really, the CEO of Twitter, he really believes in Bitcoin so much, he also owns Square. So in Cash App, which Square owns, you can only invest in stock and Bitcoin. He doesn't even have the other cryptocurrencies. He only has Bitcoin and stock. That's because he really believes in Bitcoin. So when I look at it, I'm not a rich person by any means, but when I see people like that are super smart, way smarter than me, believe in something that much, sure, why not put a couple bucks in there and see what happens? Next question. Anybody else? How exactly is Bitcoin value determined? Great question that I don't really understand, but let me try. And considering Bitcoin is virtual currency, is it truly safe from outside attacks or hacking attempts? Good question. Very good question. First, the value, I believe, I don't know, somebody watching this anytime, anywhere you're watching it, please give me the real answer in the description. I believe it's worth the value of how much money is in it divided by the amount of coins available. I think that's what would make sense, right? So if you tell me there's 100 Bitcoin available right now and 1 million people, or let's make the math easy, 100 people have put $1,000 into it. So it's 100,000 divided by 100. So now each Bitcoin is worth 1,000. I believe that's how it works, but I don't know. So, okay, I have a question of the day about Bitcoin. Knowing what I just told you, do you believe all of these smart people are wrong? Do you believe Bitcoin is a sham? Or do you believe I put $20 in Cash App's Bitcoin option? Is at $24 now? See? Yeah. You know, like at the end of the day, it's worth just being in the game. Like $20, what's the risk there? That could go up to $200, you know, like in less than a year. That's what they're saying, you know. So why not put 100 if you could afford it? I understand these are tough times, so I wouldn't. So here's investment advice. I'm not a financial advisor by any means. Do not invest in stuff like this unless you have some emergency funds, right? You don't want to. Let's say you are in a pandemic, not working, but you have $1,000 in your bank account to pay your bills. Don't put that $1,000 into Bitcoin. That is not smart. So next question. Is Cash App flips illegal? Do you mean when you pay me in Cash App and I don't take it out and I pay you back in Cash App? That's what you mean? I think that's what you mean. I don't think it's illegal. I mean, there's a record of it. So if you're doing illegal stuff, they're going to be able to get you. Because remember what I said, Cash App is backed by banks. It's not like Bitcoin where the transactions between me and you and nobody knows why I gave it to you and I don't got to prove why I gave it to you or nothing. But Cash App, that's connected to the banking system. So if you're doing illegal stuff through Cash App, you can definitely get caught. I don't know enough about it. If that's what you mean, let me know, Nasheem, if that's what you mean. Any other questions? What's safer, PayPal, Cash App, or Bitcoin? I would say in order of, if you are the recipient of the money, Bitcoin is probably the safest in the meanings of you're going to get the money. How much that money becomes after you get it, that's where the volatility of Bitcoin becomes a problem. PayPal is probably the safest I've seen because I've built a lot of online stores that use PayPal. And PayPal is very pro the customer, right? So if you buy something in PayPal and you're not happy, PayPal will get you the money back and screw over that store. I've seen it on both sides of it, right? So PayPal's pretty safe, but PayPal also has its downfalls. I'm dealing with a store right now where we set them up. They set up the PayPal, but PayPal didn't connect to their store. So now everyone who's buying through PayPal, they're getting their money back, and we're trying to call PayPal and fix it, but we can't. Nothing's working. So PayPal has its issues because it is governed by people that are not governing it. They're not governing it correctly, right? So I had an issue where I'm going to tell you a PayPal horror story. I work with developers everywhere in the world, right? So one day I am paying a developer to develop an app for me, and I send him $1,500. He was doing something weird where he lived in another country than he was asking for the money from. Why was he doing that? He was doing that because PayPal was charging him more fees in his country than the other country. So he was trying to get around his system to not get the fees. I send him the money thinking he is where he said he was going to be. He was supposed to be in Canada. So I sent the money to his email from Canada, $1,500. Turns out he was in India. PayPal looked at it and said, fraud alert, fraud alert. They kept the money. So he tells me, hey, PayPal's holding the money, but all you have to do is call them and they'll give you the money back. But we need to finish this project. So can you give me the $1,500 here so we can finish the project? Me, like a dummy, give him the $1,500 in the other place. PayPal still to this day has not given me that $1,500 back because now it's under government review. I got to deal with the government to see if I was doing fraud. I got to write all kind of paperwork, and I never did it. So right now I paid double, and I don't have my money back. That would never happen with Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, I could have just paid the guy. He would have had the money instantly. We would have been good. Done. Right? That's a big, big difference, right? And think about how frictionless that is. He would have had the money instantly wherever he is in the world for free, and we would have had no issues. But because of the government, his banks, countries, he had to try to find some elaborate way to save on 20% fees or whatever it is. And he screwed me over, really, because he got his money. So that's where Bitcoin comes in. And it's like kind of the best way I've ever seen of doing a transaction and feeling like you cannot be scammed, other than getting paid for something that you don't agree with, right? So that's one problem. You could say, okay, I expect you to give me a phone, $700. I'm going to pay you the $700. You're going to pay me. You're going to send me the phone. This is where there is some risk with Bitcoin, right? Because there's nobody over saying, well, he never got that phone, so you get the $700 back. That could be a risk. Next question. Madison or Nasheem. MetaBronx is producing this show again today. We have a good group of young whippersnappers running my ones and twos. Give me another question. What's safe for PayPal? Oh, okay. I didn't answer. So I'd say Cash App is the safest, I think, if you're in America and you know who you're paying, right? So because it's easy, it's really frictionless. The only variable is if you pay the wrong person. I'm not even sure what happens in that case. I have never done it, but I don't know if anybody's ever done it. Let me know what happens. So to me, if I had to order prioritize it, if you're in America, Cash App to me is the best. If you are anywhere else in the world, PayPal is second, but with a caveat. And then Bitcoin, just because if you're not sure what you're paying for and how to like make sure you are not paying for something that you don't get, there needs to be a governance that I don't think Bitcoin has right now. Like there could be something built on top of Bitcoin that says once person is happy, money gets released. But that person doesn't have the money anymore, right? So they can't act like they don't like it and get their money back. So that's where Bitcoin has some issues, I'll be honest. So that's one of the problems. There's nothing built yet, but Bitcoin, that's where Ethereum is building that kind of thing. Ethereum is another coin that's being built for contracts, for trusting, what they call them is smart contracts. That's why right now I've invested in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I invest in other ones because in Coinbase, just by watching what these other coins do, they give you money. So what I do is I watch what they tell me. I get $10 and I'll put $10. If it works and one of them turns out to be huge, why not? Bitcoin Extra. Yep, exactly. That there needs to be something like that. And it's just the early stages of it though. We're talking about this thing is like 12 years old. The internet is 30 years old. This is all brand new stuff that we are like in this cool point in history that we can start not only taking advantage of, but shaping. And as minorities, I'm going to get on my soapbox, my MetaBronx, my minorities in technology soapbox. We are in a position in history where we can change our own trajectory without the help from anyone else other than ourselves. If we create startups around our own people, around our own needs, that use stuff like Bitcoin, that don't need venture capital, don't need banks, we could change our scenario, change our whole system. So that's why part of where MetaBronx and all of this is I want you guys all to understand these opportunities. Bitcoin is the start of the new money where nobody else is in our pockets taking fees, telling you what it's worth. It's all worth based on what the code says and how much the value of it is based on the money put in. Again, I think you should really research that. But again, I'm going to make a video. There'll be a video that I really break it all down based on these questions. All right, so there's no more questions so far. Let me see. Did I answer all the questions? Let me see. Any more questions from anybody? I know there got to be more questions. So, George, did I really answer your question about the Ponzi scheme, though? I feel like maybe I didn't. I'm not sure. And if there's any MetaBronxers that want to get on camera and ask a question, I would like that. All right, so Cash App Flip. All right, so Cash App Flip is when they say, I'll give you, say, 100 for 1,000. How does that work? Explain that to me, Nasheem. How would that work? Oh, you're saying actual cash? They give you actual cash? 100 actual cash for 1,000 on Cash App? I don't understand what that means. Show your face. Show your face.
All right. How you?
He bailed when I made him show his face. What is it with young people and scared to be on camera? I don't know what it is. Come on, get a yeah, Nasheem, what's up? So explain it to me.
Basically, like they give you, let's say, they give you're on Cash App. You only have $10. You only have $100. So you give them $100, and they give you back 1,000.
How?
Like in return?
How do they do it?
It's like the Ponzi scheme basically, but different because it's on Cash App.
I guess how are they giving you the 1,000 and why? If they have 1,000, why get 100 from you? What does they basically getting you to give them $100? Like, I don't see why you would give someone $100 to get 1,000 back. Because what do they get out of it? Right? Like what do they get out of it? They lose $900. I don't really understand why they would do it. So you got to reverse engineer. Like, what do you get out of it? You know, it don't make sense to me. But glad you asked because don't do it. I got a question from Kevin. Will banks eventually use Bitcoin too? So here's the thing, right? A lot of the banks were down on Bitcoin. Jamie Dimon, who is the CEO of Chase for a long time, said that'll never work. Bitcoin will never work. But now Chase just created their own Chase coin, right? And now you can pay people through this Chase coin in different countries because they create their own version of Bitcoin through their bank only. The problem with that, there's pros and cons, right? The pro is you can pay anyone anywhere through that coin using Chase if they have Chase in that country. The con is, what if I don't have Chase? I got to have Chase now to pay you. That's the only way. Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are, who you bank with, anything. So that's why I think Bitcoin is going to be something. It's the early stages of it, and it's growing fast and faster. And because of the instability of the dollar and the economy kind of going down across the globe, the value of the dollar, the euro, all these things are going down because all these countries are printing up money. So people are worried about that, and they're like, okay, I got to put my money in other places. Gold, Bitcoin. That's where a lot of the rich people are saying, okay, gold is a safe place to put your money because gold is a thing. It's a physical thing. You know that it's valuable because everybody takes gold anywhere. Bitcoin is virtual. Nobody knows, but it does store value, and you can transfer that value to someone for something. So it is like the next version of gold that you could take it anywhere and transact with it. The only problem is the fluctuation is so high because it's still pretty early and there's no set amount of how many people are bringing in money for it and taking out money. Once it gets to the point where they made the finite number of Bitcoin and there's a certain amount of value to it, I believe that's when it's done. So imagine if right now you own $100, but by the end of Bitcoin, there's $5 trillion in Bitcoin, and now one coin is worth $1 million. You bought it for $12,000 a coin, and now it's worth $1 million. But you don't got to buy one. So that's another big thing people don't understand. You don't have to spend $12,000 to buy Bitcoin. You can buy $10 of Bitcoin, $50 of Bitcoin, $5 of Bitcoin, $1 million of Bitcoin. The value of it will change whatever amount you buy by percent. So that's a new thing I believe was created because of Bitcoin too. Even in Cash App, what you can do is you can buy fractional shares of stock. And I believe that came about because of Bitcoin. Because before, to buy a share, you needed to have the amount of money to buy that whole share. Bitcoin had this system where you didn't need to. You could buy just whatever percent of the Bitcoin you wanted to. And then if you bought more, you had more. So now in Cash App, you can buy $10 of Tesla stock. Tesla stock is like $1,400 or whatever it is. But you can still buy it for $10 because you buy a percentage of the share. I do believe that came about because of Bitcoin. I don't know that for sure. I got to research it, but I'm pretty sure. Any other questions? I'm looking to see if we got all of them. Are all different kinds of cryptocurrency on the blockchain? Yes. Good question. Good question, Kevin. Yes. The way currencies are is they create their own blockchain for that currency. So now, based on how many people use that currency, so let's say I wanted to create the Miguel Sanchez currency, and I just use it for 3 of us. We would have our own record of the Miguel Sanchez currency. Every time somebody makes a transaction, all 3 of us would have it in our Excel spreadsheet. And that's all a blockchain is. It's basically an Excel spreadsheet spread across millions of machines that cannot be changed by any one person or a group of people. Unless 1 million people decided to change it, and they would have to know how to change it. It's encrypted. It's not easy at all. And the encryption is super, super high level. It's all kind of crazy stuff. Let me see. There's Cash App scammers. Dr. Trashlord, what do you mean? I know your real name is Madison. I call you Dr. Trashlord and Madison. What do you mean Cash App scammers? Oh, see, there are some extra questions in here. You guys are missing some of these questions. All right. So one of the questions I see here that I didn't answer is, How do you invest if it's just currency? I told you how to invest in it already. You go through Cash App or Coinbase. That's the easiest way. Can Bitcoin help you earn money? So it is an investment right now, right? What the way I see it is based on the volatility of the value. Let's say you put in $500 today, and Bitcoin tomorrow goes to $50,000, right? That's like, I don't know how much times more than it's worth now. Let's say 5 times more. You can take out that $2,500 tomorrow, but it has to happen and you have to take it out, right? So that's where it goes up and down, right? Because when it gets a big jump, people take it out and say, you know what? I made $100,000. I'm good. Let me take it out and use it. But then the value of Bitcoin goes down because now that money's not in Bitcoin anymore. So that's how I believe it works. That's what makes sense. All right. All right. When you invest in Bitcoin, do you have to pay the value of one Bitcoin for each, or do you invest in any amount you want? So that's basically what I was just saying. You can invest any amount you want. You could go on Coinbase right now and invest. I don't even know what's the minimum. Let me see what the minimum on Coinbase is and what's the minimum on Cash App. So right now, I wanted to buy Bitcoin. I'm going to buy Bitcoin right now on the show. So you see how it works. Well, you can't see how it works, but let me see if I can do it. I don't want to show you how much money I got. So, all right, trade, buy. Let me see if I can put $1. We do not support totals smaller than $2. So $2 is the minimum amount of Bitcoin you can buy. I'm going to buy $2 of Bitcoin right now. Bam. I bought $2 of Bitcoin. That was that easy. $2 of Bitcoin. You can't see it. So yeah, $2 minimum there. Let's see what the minimum is on Cash App. Cash App. So in Cash App, you gotta go to the stock market part, and then I'll say buy. $20 is the minimum you could buy on Cash App. I'll buy $20 of Cash App. Bam, done. See fast. See how fast that was? I just bought $22 of Bitcoin in less than a minute. You can do the same by clicking the links below in the description. It's worth $11,000 right now. So last time I looked, it was $10,900. It just went up $100 in less than an hour. We haven't even been on for an hour. So that's part of the volatility, pros and cons to it. But the way I invest in it, I'm not trying to take the money out. I'm going to leave it there as long as humanly possible. Maybe when I'm like 95, I'll look and I'll be like, oh, you know what? Screw it. I'll take it out. And then I'll do it. That's how you should invest, really, unless you want to be like a day trader where you ride the waves and catch it on the top and take it out. Most people say you want to invest, even Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's advice is invest in something that you believe will be around forever. Is there a group of newbie investors you can recommend? I can't right now because I am the newbie investor. I'm doing my own research first. I've heard of groups like this Telegram groups where people tell, hey, today buy this coin, buy this coin. I don't really want to be that day trader-ish. But if anyone is watching and knows, I know George, on Tuesday, I was at the Latinos in Blockchain meetup. They do a meetup once a month, and a lot of them know a lot of stuff. Like I'm in there like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Because there's another thing people do where it's called crypto harvesting, I think it's called, where you can just earn interest on your money based on the ups and downs. That's a whole nother show. I'll probably bring somebody from the Latino blockchain event to explain it because they tried to explain it to me on Tuesday and I I had no idea what they were talking about. So there's things like, it's called damn, I forgot the name of it. Dat coin or something like that, where you can give it money and they give you interest every month on the money you have in there. So there's all kind of stuff happening right now. This is the new form of money for minorities to not be at least looking at it and understanding it, and having a few bucks in there is crazy to me. Crazy. This point will never happen again. The new form of money has only been created twice in history. Gold, which was created when the universe was being created, and we just chose it as the form of money. But this has been the first pure human creation to try to make sure it solves the problems of having countries own the money, tell people how much the money's worth, only be able to use the money through banks and stuff like that. Bitcoin was created as this like perfect, so far, most perfect scenario to make sure people can pay each other in a way that not too many people have their hands in their pockets. Oh, stocks too. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing my own little research. Same here. Like, I just know technology. I've been looking at what Warren Buffett says, and he says, invest in things that you believe could be there forever. So when I look at things, I say, okay, I think cashless money is going to be a thing that's going to be around forever. So let me invest in the most popular apps that do that. Cash App and Venmo. Unfortunately, PayPal owns Venmo. So you have to invest in PayPal to invest in Venmo. And PayPal owes me $1,500, but I still invested in PayPal because Venmo and Cash App to me are the most popular probable winners in the cashless economy app thing. So I said, all right, I'm going to invest in both of those. Tesla, of course, I knew Tesla was going to do this thing. I invested in Tesla last year and it's been skyrocketing. Things like Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, you can invest $20 in them. You know, like, to me, another big thing, and this is something I teach my kids. If you use it and buy it a lot, become an investor of it. Why not benefit from some of your own purchasing habits? Right? So to me, I tell my kids this when they get money for Christmas, their birthday, invest it in something you use. Nintendo. You play Nintendo, you play PlayStation every day. Sony, invest in Sony. You buy Nikes, invest in Nike. It makes more sense to invest in things that can give you a return than buying the product and just wasting the money pretty much. So I want to try to teach my kids that. And that's where on this show, you know, it's one of the first I talk about investments ever. And it came through the MetaBronx kids participants wanted to know about Bitcoin. So got to catch a flight. All right. Thanks, George. Thanks for coming through. So yeah, it's the end of the show. No more questions. But again, if you liked anything we spoke about here and you are the type of person that's interested in learning more about business and technology, highly suggest you subscribe to my YouTube channel or wherever you're watching this. Subscribe, like, follow, wherever it is. And definitely thank you for coming. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow, my guest is the Bronx native. Part of what we're doing at MetaBronx is a lot of the young people in my at this point, 325 youth are going through MetaBronx and learning about the innovation economy. So most of them want to make an online store. So tomorrow I'm going to have Bronx native who has probably the most popular online store in the Bronx. And I created it. So he's going to be on tomorrow talking about what it takes to make an online brand. And hope to see you guys there. Thank you for watching. Be back tomorrow.